What does a design manager do in construction? Do you want to be a design manager, or are you working with a design manager? What does this position do? Why is it so crucial? And what should we know about it that will make us successful? That's what we're going to cover in this video right now. So I love this topic. A design manager is so crucial because, and let me paint a picture here. In the book, How Big Things Get Done, and in a number of other references, and according to the experience that I've had in pre-construction, we've got to have a method where we start from the right, we think from right to left, or we think, well, the way you're looking at me, we think from right to left. And that means we look at when will the project be done, right? What will it reasonably take to finish that project, which will then identify our start date for construction, right? And then what steps need to be managed, get it, design manager, right? What steps need to be managed before we start construction so that we have everything we need, and we need to work that back to where we are today or to when the design team needs to start. So I've talked about in another video, which I hope you loved and watched, by the way, about what designers do. And I made the point, just really briefly, I won't cover too much of it, but I made the point that designers take the thoughts and wants, needs, and goals of the client, right? And they turn it into sketches according to an art form, right? They're artists. And as they do that, they communicate and collaborate with a bunch of different people, including end users, and satisfy everybody's needs, all while hitting a schedule, meaning their design schedule, all while keeping the project under budget to a point where the builder can build it on schedule with the right constructability. And if that wasn't enough, they also keep it compliant with any regulatory requirements like life safety or any city or county requirements for how the buildings really need to function and be built per building code, right? And they need to then communicate all of these onto 2D drawings so that we, the builders, have very few questions. I mean, that's remarkable. So in the other video that we linked you to, my point was like, hey, we should honor and revere designers because they're doing an impossible job. Now, take that right there, that seemingly impossible task, and now put it into a timeline, fit it into a box, knowing that unlike with us, right, with builders, and I'm not saying our job as builders is easy, but we take a sequence and we're like sequence one, or not sequence, but activity one, activity two, three, four, five, and we run them through zones, right? And there's variation, there's nuances, there's differences, right? And it's not super easy, but we think in a linear fashion. Do A, B, C, D, E, F, right? A designer has to say, oh, do A, review it with the client, and if it's not right, go back to, well, let me actually do it differently. Let's say they're on step E, right? Like step E, then review it with the client. Oh, no, change it. Now that's got to go back to E. No, it's got to tie in with 1. Now we have to check back with A. Now we're going to go over here to C. And like their process is so iterative and chaotic, but not in a bad way. That's not an insult. My point is, it's not A, B, C plus D equals E, right? It's A, B, C plus D might equal going back to A or B or starting all over, right? It's this iterative cycle where there's quite a lot of variability and changes. And so a design manager, you're welcome, if you either are a design manager or you want to be one, gets to take that impossible task where you stay under budget, on schedule, and you meet all of the regulatory compliance, and you're creating an art form, and you're collaborating, and you're trying to get the owner's vision out on paper and put it on a timeline and meet design milestones while doing your due diligence and creating an amazing design. So that's kind of the high level of where you're at, what we're expecting you to do as a design manager. You get to take this art form and put it on a timeline and hit milestones, manage everybody to their fullest efficiency. So good luck, you're welcome, and let's keep going through this because this is a huge task. So a design manager plays a crucial role. If you don't have a good one, your design will be all over the place and you will not meet your deadlines. You might still get a great product, but you won't hit your deadlines, right? If you have a good design manager, you'll not only have a good design, one that you can build under budget, right? That the project team can build in that schedule. But you'll also have the design, the answers, and the quality when you need it. And so this is amazing. So a design manager does a lot. And here are the specific things that they're responsible for. Number one, project planning. I said before and in this video, just as a small recap again, that designers have all of these different things, right? Mind reading, art form, interpretation, detailing, collaboration, regulatory compliance, right? All of these different things that they have to pull together. It's the design manager's job to pull all stakeholders together. So that means the owners, the designers, including the architects, the engineers, any other consultants, vendors, and users, the builder, the early design trade partners for the project, and anyone else that has a stake in the overall project together to make sure that that design is coming together according to all of their needs and sometimes wants on time. And so instead of just doing the design manager will create the plan for the next phase at least, the schedule for the development of the design, the budget for that design phase, key collaborative interfaces between stakeholders, and will make sure that all of it is aligning with project objectives. Now, typically what you'll see from a design manager is organizing, and just let me give you the high level, organizing the design team into their functional groups. If it's an IPD job or design build, you will sometimes have what's called clusters that will focus on specific disciplines of the design. Okay, or scrum teams. So the design manager will help organize the team, will help organize and identify the milestone they're trying to hit, their objective of what they're attempting to accomplish, help them create schedules up to that milestone, either with a pull plan, the last planner system, or a scrum system, and we're even using TACT for that now, making sure that there's correct check-ins throughout and alignment, that we're having the right meetings and the right interface with the client and the end users, and that resources are allocated properly for that to happen and for the milestone to be hit. So it's not just diving into, hey, let's go ahead and design. It's organizing a team that by the nature of their work is kind of unorganizable, right? So that's one of the main things that a design manager will do. And if you ever need specifics, I want you to know that here in a couple of months, and hopefully later in the description below, I'll just add you to the link. We have a book called The First Planner System, or Elevating Construction Senior and Superintendent's Book 2, which talks about the first planner system and how to do this as a reference. If you ever need help, we do that kind of planning and design team management early on in pre-construction. Just give us a call at Elevate and LeanTact if you ever need help. And I'm going to link you to one book which I really like called Integrating Project Delivery, which will give you some more details about this in the description below. Number two, the responsibility is team coordination. If there are communication channels or information that needs to go from discipline to discipline, the design manager will make sure that either emails or texts or open office spaces like big room concepts are organized properly into clusters and scrum teams so that people can communicate. They'll make sure that the RFI process is working, critical decision logs are functioning, and that the overall communication of the team is high functioning so people get what they need when they need it without being overburdened. The design manager will look at design development, so when details and plans and schemes and specifications and overall concepts are developed, we'll make sure that that's being reviewed to the budget and the schedule, right, which is very difficult, and reviewed for regulatory compliance, and reviewed to make sure that it is on track to meet the end goal for the user, and make sure that any feedback or corrections are getting to the design team real time. Number four, budget and cost control. Not only will the design manager make sure that the design is happening under the budget, but also that the design for the project budget itself is on track. Number five, a design manager is in charge of quality assurance, which means that anything produced by the design team is double checked, that the formatting is double checked, that the detail is double checked, that the constructability review is double checked, that any internal standards for the design team, that all of those checks are going in, and that it is also perfectly in alignment with regulatory compliance and the owner's needs. Number 6, the design manager will look for risks and major problems, right? If there's an impasse from a budget standpoint or a schedule standpoint or an interface standpoint, or something is just not working and we can't come to a resolution, the design manager will dig in and remove those roadblocks ahead of the team, with the team, or for the team, so that we can get the design flowing and hitting their milestones. And number 7, a design manager will really own the client communication, right? In a Scrum system, you have the Scrum Master, but then the product owner, right? The product owner is always checking to make sure that the needs of the end users or the customers are being met, and verifying that the design is developing appropriately. So it is the design manager's job to make sure that this beautiful, artistic, useful building, which meets the building code and other regulations that should be built for this cost and under this amount of time, is actually coming together according to the client's needs and wants. So the design manager will be very proficient at talking to the client, at wooing the client, reading the client's mind, and always keeping him or her, the team, up to date and knowing where the design is progressing. These are the 7 key things that a design manager will do, and they're super hard, and it takes a lot of skill, and it really, really is kind of an impossible feat. But we see design managers all over the nation and throughout the world doing it every day. And when we see them, we should see 2 things. Number 1, make our lives as builders so much easier. And 2, a person that needs to be collaborated with and supported in their role, because it is a huge task to get this really creative and chaotic design, not because of the people, but because of the nature of it, to fit on time and be completed in enough time for the linear builders to go do their job. So if you're curious about what a design manager does, here you go. It's an amazing role. I hope anybody that has the chance to do it, please do so along your builder path, or if you're a part of a design firm, it can be absolutely amazing. It merges the world of practical project management with the world of like creative, artistic, like architecture, right? And it's absolutely fantastic. Functional architecture. In the description below, I'm going to link you to a blog post which will outline these key steps in case you ever want to reference it in the future. If you ever need help, give us a call. We're experts at managing this part of the construction project and pre-construction. I hope to hear from you, and I hope you've loved this video. On we go.